Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, I'm Nick Sertivant. All right, so March is Women's History Month, and while there are signs of progress and accomplishment, look, women face more financial challenges than men. Many of them report personal finances as their top source of stress. I feel you. We have a man in here who said he woke up ready, born ready, financial professional, CEO, Alloy Wealth Management. Mark Henry, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing fantastic. Ready to crush it on this topic. This one's crazy when you really look at the numbers on this thing.
We were talking about it during the break.
Yeah.
I mean, can you talk to us about the unique challenges?
This is going to blow people's mind because it did mine. And, you know, I'm not a boomer, but I'm very close. And the reality is this. Think about this. It wasn't until 1974 that women could even sign on a loan without a male cosigner. This is craziness.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they wanted to go purchase something, they had to find a man to sign with?
Nope.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Not in my day. Not in this day.
Right. And you say 1970, that's not that long ago.
No.
And so what we find is that women, especially when it comes to financial matters, they face a series of unique challenges. A lot of times, they haven't made as much money as their male counterparts. Even today, with all the advances we've made, it's still about 85 cents on the dollar, 83, depends on what study you look at.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not okay.
No.
It shouldn't be that way. But it is. That is the facts. That is what the studies tell us. So you say, well, what other challenges? Well, they live longer. Okay? Wait. Also, many times, not always, but traditionally, many times, they spent yet less working years because they were staying home. Like I think of my wife, Terry, of 32 years. She stayed home to take care of me. I mean, the kids always get that confused. But she stayed home, so she put less money into the system. Now, think about this. She's putting less in because she's pulled out of the workforce. Many times they re-enter the workforce. She never did. But many times women re-enter, but there's still gap periods while they were at home taking care of children and stuff. So they automatically are going to have a lower Social Security number for a foundation in retirement, yet they're living longer. I mean, we're starting to add up a bunch of things here that really make it. And then you have this, quote, financial literacy. And not always, but typically, they were doing other things, and the male counterpart, a lot of times in traditional relationships, was controlling the finances, and they weren't even exposed to it as much. And so this causes, and studies say they say they have a lot of stress about finances.
How is that stress impacting folks? You're talking about a very traditional structure, but how does, and I'm thinking about my parents' generation. I'm thinking about my parents are in their mid-60s, and I'm fortunate where they both are. They are in sync. They know everything about each other. That's how it should be, but it's not how it is. And it causes a lot of stress.
It does. 79% of the women have reported that finances keep them up at night. And you know, it's been my experience doing this for a very long time. And again, there's nothing typical about anything in life anymore. But many times I find, like in my own case, my wife is really a better steward of money than even I am. She's just really good and very logical about it. And I find that many times with women is they're actually very good at it. And not surprisingly so, but what I mean by that is they'd be the better choice. Like literally in my own household, I involve Terry in all the big decisions when it comes to finances because she looks at it completely different. Her risk tolerance is much less than mine, and that helps us balance it and be more equally yoked. And so I need that balancing partner. And that's not to say that all women are less aggressive than the men, but a lot of times they are, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Terry likes us to see, like personally, she likes us when we have more in the cash side of things. She likes that. That's comfort for her. And I'm more the investment guy, obviously.
We just talked about that Monday, cash.
Right.
We'll get back to that at a later time.
Yep.
And I was talking about during the break, my mom had one of her good friends, her husband passed away, he had kidney disease, and he handled a lot of she worked a lot.
Yeah.
And she made pretty good money. But he handled the bills, he knew everything. And I remember when he passed away, she was just like, I don't know
It's just sad.
I don't
That's
know.
not how it's supposed to be. You've got to, if you have a partner in a relationship, you have to be equally yoked when it comes to this financial.
And then, let me
picture.
stress, it's both way. It goes both ways. It goes
Correct.
both ways.
Could
yeah.
be the husband, either
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Many times I see it where the woman in the relationship is the one that controls the finances,
Mm-hmm.
whether she earns it all or it's jointly earned or whatever. But I see it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
However, in those examples, I want the husband to come in. Now we believe the men
Mm-hmm.
most likely would leave the relationship first, pass away first.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? That's not always true. And so we want to have it where there's continuity. Think about this: having to make decisions when you've lost your partner of 30 or 40 years or
Yeah.
more. And now you're in an emotional period and you have to also make financial decisions that you're not even aware of because you don't even know what's going on. That is not the right time to be making big financial decisions. It should be on autopilot because you already know where everything is. You already understand the plan, and therefore you're able to grieve for your loss of a loved one.
What's step one? For couples
Yeah.
they don't even have to be boomers. They could be somebody in their 30s, 20s, 40s,
Yeah,
whatever. Anybody.
And again, this is really not just for women. This is for men or anybody.
Yeah.
First step is knowing where the money's going.
Yeah.
You start with an emergency fund. People always talk about, hey, we got to pay off the debt. We have to pay off the debt. Yeah, I agree with that. Certain debt, especially high interest credit cards and stuff, but not before the emergency fund.
Yeah.
But even before the emergency fund comes, where's the money going? Where's it go?
Chick-fil-A.
Right, where does it go? Let's figure it out. And I don't mean you have to. I love Dave Ramsey. We don't have to go account for every receipt. That's old school. I'm not going to do it. But we can look at our checking accounts and see where the money's going. Not because we wrote checks, because it was ATMs, it was debits, the credit cards. Get them all out, and let's see where the money's going first and what could be eliminated to create more cash flow in the house. Then let's make sure we have a 3 to 6 months or so emergency fund. Then we tackle debt.
I know there's somebody at home. They're going to say, "Mark, that's so good advice. Man, it's easier said than done, Mark."
It is easier said than done, and that's true.
And I know
for
you
all
get
of
that
us.
a lot.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
true. Here's what I'll say though: if you want to live like no one else,
Yeah.
you're going to have to start living like no one else.
Yeah.
So there's things that others don't want to do, you're actually going to have to do it. And you'll find it becomes exciting. I love loud budgeting, which is when a female tells her friends, maybe she's single, she's telling her friends, or a male, or a couple, and you say, look, we're going to do this in 26. We're going to get completely out of debt, or we're going to make a big attempt. We're finally going to pay off the student loans, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So you tell people about it. You tell your friends that are going to support you and help you, and you tell a few of the haters, the ones that don't want you to succeed. Because you got to hold yourself accountable. Remember, when you tell them by December 31st you're going to have this done, well, December 31st is going to get here, and you've either done it or you didn't. And that's hard.
And that's a message to those haters. No, but seriously, man, a great advice. Carlene, do you have anything? I would be remiss if I didn't ask you any.
I know we talked about boomers for one. Is there any financial kind of challenges that sway towards women like my age? In their
Yeah,
30s?
so, well, it is, there is certainly, because a lot of times, and I see this a lot, the expectation is different, and it shouldn't be. And what I mean by that is they see themselves differently because they think society does. And the reality is, what I mean by that is this. You should, the young generation, absolutely anything you want to do, you can do. And it's not because of the color of skin, because of your gender, or anything else. It's simply your decision that you're going to do this. And that's where it starts, with this belief that you refuse to lose. Oh, it's going to be harder in this company. I'm in this business where it's male-dominated or whatever. Okay, great. Doesn't matter. You can still win. Will it be harder? Most likely. Doesn't matter. You refuse to lose. So if you've set out a challenge that you're going to pay off your student debt by the time you're 28, by the time you're 30, great. Then that's what you're going to do. Regardless of what others do. Don't let anyone tell you what you're going to accomplish.
Man, he's really born ready.
Dropping bars.
He's really born ready. He woke up ready.
Love doing this.
That's our friend Mark Henry, Alloy Wealth Management. Man, always dropping some gems. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me
As
on
always, he competes with me as far as dressing. We'll get back to that at some
One
point.
day.
One day. He's edging me out right now, so I got to step it up. I like picking on Mark.